you had to leave the States, where are you going tomorrow?
If I had to
Oh wait,
leave
okay,
the
sorry.
States.
I didn't read it because I was looking at. Fuck, the answer. Ah! I wish I had a social media manager at this exact moment. What's up? I'm Steve Dollas. I'm a photographer, videographer, author, event host, a lot of different things. So we're currently in my second photo studio. I had one in the past, but I also held events there. It was called On the Low, and we had to close because we had too many events and it was in an office building. So it wasn't really working out with like management and all that. A little bit of, a little bit of that involved. But we closed that, and long story short, I found this and I feel like it's a good fit until I can find another spot that allows me to host events. But yeah, it's a photo studio, production space. We do podcasting as well, and small meetings, like small groups, but no real like big events. It's actually mostly been me working in here for the most part. I've had a couple different photographers, videographers come in and do their own thing, but for me, my favorite part has been getting to experiment and just kind of like doing whatever I want, because a lot of the times when you are a photographer and you don't have a studio that you like can freely access, you only go to the studio when you have a booking. So you don't really like get to learn your own techniques or like, try different things that may not be standard. So in me being able to kind of just be here, I could do something for 6 hours if I want. And I'm not thinking about how long it's going to take or how many hours I have to pay for. I just kind of do whatever I want. So like for me, it's like the learning aspect of just having a space that I could go to that allows me the time to learn. Yes, yes. Um, so that's interesting. I've been thinking about classes, and a part of me is kind of like imposter syndrome because I didn't go to school for this. So in a way, I'm like, do I even have a right to host classes? But at the same time, like, I do. So I've been thinking about how to do it and how to implement it, what people actually want to learn, because I don't necessarily think that I want to teach them like the flat basics. Like I don't mind, like I could, but I feel like if you really are into cameras, you could just learn that like on your own, like a YouTube video. But I would want to get into like the more like nuanced niche techniques that like you might not think about, or even like the business side of things, like things that I've learned about, maneuvering and just, I guess, creating a business for yourself, or even just developing your own art. So I'm trying to figure out what to actually teach, not just like, oh, I'm hosting classes and like doing the ABCs. So that's a thing on my mind. So, what's your name?
Okay.
Hi,
Hey y'all, I'm Kara, also known as Kara Tiffany. Boom.
Nice. So my creative process is, I want to come out and say it early. I don't think I'm the most creative person, but I do think I'm very resourceful, and I can see opportunities or see what's good in scenarios, right? So like, um, a lot of artists smoke. I don't smoke, so like I don't have that pool of things to like draw from. So there's that, but also I just don't think like I don't really consume too much other art and media in a sense that says, oh, let me like try to do that, let me like emulate that. I mostly take inspiration from the people I'm around and maybe like the experiences I've had more so than like looking through maybe magazines or stuff of that nature, or even just coming up with stuff randomly. I want to say I'm more inspired by events and situations and thoughts that like, oh, that could be cool, as opposed to just brainstorming. So I would say usually when I want to make something, I just start like a Google document. Like I'll put some stuff down, I'll write some stuff. Or like if it's more on the visual side, I'll go to Pinterest and I'll just type in search terms for whatever I want to do. And then like I'll start putting it all together. So like a short film. A lot of times I think about like films and stuff through music, and like I don't really shoot music videos anymore that much, but I always have like a visual picture to songs. So that's kind of like a big inspiration. Music will like send me down a path, and then I just try to like figure out what I could do that makes me feel or relate to the music, at least visually. Um, but I don't know. It's just kind of like random. There's no like series of processes that I go through to like get to, oh, I want to make something. Let me do this. I just kind of be freelancing, freeballing it. You know, I have so many Google Docs, and I'm like, what did I use last? As for events, so interesting, I think, and I don't want to ramble too much, but I think like being a photographer and being in a lot of these events and spaces sober has allowed me to see what is good, what's bad, what I like, what I don't like, how people react to certain things, and like get the most documentary-esque experience of a party as opposed to being a party goer. So it kind of like helps me decide what I want to do for my own events, because I know like, hey, look, maybe when there's performances, people lose energy and it kind of like dries up the night. Or like, oh, when the lights are too bright, people don't dance. You know, like things like that. I find I pull I pull my knowledge from my events through my experience as a photographer, as an event photographer at least, or videographer, because it just helps me like figure out like, okay, what's right, what's wrong, what works, what doesn't work. So from that, I've taken I guess like a set of guidelines that like will push me to say, okay, we're not doing that. We can do this. We're not gonna do that, or we're gonna try more of that, and that really shapes, you know, how I plan events, how I think about parties and nightlife, and even the things that aren't events. Like, what do I need more of? What do I want to do? You know, like what's missing in my nightlife experience whenever I go out. So, yeah, I think the two kind of play into each other. So I know you're not going to the party, but if you were, right, what vibe are you going for style wise?
Style wise, I think a little animal print or maybe something like vibrant. You know, I like colors like yellow and orange, lime green maybe. Something that's gonna make my skin pop.
Oh man, that's a good one. All right, so the funniest thing is I actually did not like partying until maybe like early 20s, right? Um, on a Friday, Saturday, you would find me in my crib playing video games. But when my friends did drag me outside, when they did get me out, I feel like I found ways to enjoy myself. But I would say even beyond that, I feel like the culture of nightlife in the city wasn't as commercialized. And I feel like that's the biggest change that I've discovered, or at least witnessed in nightlife. People have always wanted to make money. Clubs have always wanted to make money. But I'm from Brooklyn, Flatlands area, so I'm used to Flatbush, Crown Heights, Canarsie. I was up in backyard parties, you know, all types of like smaller venues. I never really went to the city when I was like younger because like that's money, you know. So I think as time has passed, in addition to one, me getting older, right? So I'm no longer in backyards as much, but just what I've experienced, I find that I won't even say namely after COVID, I find that the club experience has become so money forward and actual like party community event second. So that's actually something I try to like make sure my events are not like feeding into. The biggest thing I would say that's changed is like section culture and like bottles and hookah being like, okay, the number one main attraction at a spot. I find that, namely sections and hookah, keep people in isolated like locations within the party. Like if I got this, like if this is my table, and I paid anywhere from 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 for this table, I'm not leaving my table, right? So what happens is, and even if you did a hookah, right, and the hookah is $40 and maybe, I don't know, $80, I don't know anymore. I don't really do hookah. You're not leaving that. You pay for that. You probably put your bag down at the little standing table that they got you, and you just stay there. And what I find is because of COVID, they wanted to keep people in events but separate, and they realized, oh shoot, we're making more money by charging this way, by running the events this way, and I don't think we've fully gotten back from that. So like the hookahs, the sections, they keep people in like pockets, and it feels like there's no flow to the event. And I remember very vividly, I went to something in like the Electric Warehouse, like years back, like I don't even know, was it 2013, 2012, something like that. Right after high school, I'm telling my age, early college, maybe even in high school, I don't know. But I remember very clearly being in one side of the party, and maybe there was a section, but it wasn't like everybody could go in it. It was maybe like a few people. And it was like, oh, let's go see what's going on over there. And me and my little group of friends, we would like fight through the crowd and then get to the other side and be like, okay, it's lit over here. We like it. And then after a while, we go back to another side. I feel like nowadays that element is kind of gone. So to condense it, I feel like maybe three things. The events are focused on money, and of course we've always wanted to make money, but I think because of the sections, because of the bottles, because of the hookah, it's like, all right, let's see how much money the club owner can take from the patrons. That's one. And then two, because of that, people are staying like isolated, like a lot more, I guess, like localized in terms of the party. Like they don't move around. And then the last thing I would say is the types of parties I find, unless you're really in Queens, house parties aren't really happening as much. And I just feel like that's probably like something to do with real estate, or like, okay, if I can't afford a nice enough apartment to have all my friends over, or if paying for a crib is too, like I'm sure there's something to do with that, but I don't feel like house parties even happen that often. Like maybe it might be like a little get together, but an old fashioned like house party, I don't know, I don't see them as much. Which I was trying to figure out like, hey, how do I push this event that people know the place looks are like this already?
Yeah.
Already been there. So how do you keep making it interesting? How do you keep doing all that stuff? What's been the song of the summer?
Damn, what is the song of the summer? We got a song of the summer?
So there's a couple of venues that I always will say are lit. We have the obvious Shemansky. There's Cafe Razuli. What else? Lot 45, Lovejoy's. Those are good. Bunton's World Famous. That's a classic. You can always go in there pretty much any late week night, and you'll find something. I don't really go to the city as much as I used to. Most of my people are in Brooklyn. Oro Cocina has some good stuff on occasion. What else? And then the venues that I've had events at, I don't know if they do events outside of me, but Velvet Brooklyn, that's like right on, I think it's like Broadway, right by Williamsburg. That's a good one. It's a really nice spot. I would also say the last place that, what's the last place I've gone? Oh, Seven. So Seven is funny because I feel like it's a lounge, and I don't really feel like we have that anymore. So sometimes they try to get it to be like a little more party-like, but for the most part, I feel like it's a lounge. Like you could talk. It's a little loud at times, but you could talk, but you can really socialize. And I feel like most of these other places, while you can, that's not like the focus. I feel like that's more the idea in Seven. And I do appreciate it, but sometimes I do wish it was a party. But I will say it's unique in that it's the most loungy kind of spot around right now. It's like an ode to Babel, but like bigger. So yeah, those are all good spots. So my spring summer has been pretty good, at least for Atmos Parties. We had started at a residency in February. We did February, March, April, May, and then we had a boat ride in June. And they all kept getting bigger and bigger. And then we decided to take a break from the monthlies, and then now we're doing another big one in August. After that, we're gonna take another break, but I think we just realized like in some ways less is more, and the monthlies like it's a little tiring when it's a small team, but for the growth of the brand, it's been really good. Like I have a team of hosts that I rock with all the time, and they really helped me like push this thing to the next level. And I just can't wait to like add more to the team and make sure everybody gets like their flowers as we grow. But for the brand that I'm pushing, I think the summer's been pretty good. This next party, I'm excited about it. It's a little challenging to get it all together, but now that this is my only focus, I think it's gonna go really well. As for the rest of the year, I think we're gonna do one more, but I haven't really put all the details down yet. So when I know, you'll know. Facts.